This is a fun episode of Hold My Cutter. We're talking to Allegheny County Council member Bethany Hallam. You're wondering what the heck we're doing with Bethany Hallam. First of all, she's a friend. She's a huge Pirates fan. We're going to get into that. And we're also going to talk, of course, about our featured smoke. Now, Michael and I have the old standby. We love this one, Michael. It's nice and mild. It's the Rocky Patel 1999 Connecticut. Really one of the best cigars, mild, smooth. And Bethany has the, I don't know if I would say dainty, but it's the Java Drew Estate. It's got a nice vanilla taste.
Like
Very
it.
nice.
Yeah.
It's almost like a vanilla bean smell.
Yeah.
And this is the Bone Thugs in Harmony brownie.
Oh, is that what that
East
is?
1999. Yeah, it's my childhood. So this is the Bone Thugs in Harmony. Yeah.
That is very cool.
Yeah,
Thanks for adding that.
You know, I love
touch.
those nicknames.
And we love the coffee that they serve here in our pirate mugs. How do you like these mugs? You're not taking it
I
home
love
with you,
them.
by the way.
Oh, we're not keeping these? I thought this was like
these are ours.
a gift.
No,
Okay.
no gifts. You get nothing.
Nothing.
And you like it. Bethany, now, your story is amazing. For those that don't know, she's serving her second term now, Allegheny County Council member. You've gone through North Hills High School. You get injured playing lacrosse. You get really addicted eventually to heroin. You're on the streets. You go through undergrad Duquesne, and now you're working your way through life for a couple of years, stumbling all over the place, right?
Yeah.
How did you find your way?
Staying in the backseat of a car, again, Walmart parking lots, rest stop parking lots. There was not that many places that are safe to live in a car, especially in a city
How long were you
center.
living in your car?
Oh, on and off for years. I would sometimes sneak into my parents' house. I would sometimes crash on friends' couches. I would every once in a while have enough money to get an apartment with whatever guy.
Why didn't you just live with your parents?
Oh, my parents didn't want me there. I was not a good person to be. I had stolen my mom's engagement ring and sold it. I'd stolen my brother's video games over and over and over again. My parents would replace them. I'd sell them again. I was lying. My mom had to sleep with her purse because I would take money out of her purse at night.
That's incredible.
I mean, I just wasn't, myself. I was somebody that I don't even recognize today, that I spent a lot of years working kind of through all that stuff I put them through. It's hard for them now to look at me and not think about all that stuff I put them through.
I'm surprised, frankly, that they didn't say, you know what, we're done with her.
Thankfully, they did not, because I know.
And how important was that to your
for a
recovery?
Fact, I would not be here today
You would
if
not.
it wasn't for that.
Oh,
so many of the
Ding.
Have that removed.
You said recovery. I was like, yes.
yeah, I like that. It's like the mic drop.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So, but their faith in you helped you a lot.
Oh yeah, a lot of the people that I work with who are on the streets today have very, very, very similar stories to mine, and one of the common denominators is that they don't have any family that they still have relationships with. People gave up on them. And it's hard because I also see it from the other side a lot. I've seen my parents experience, still to this day, if you call them in the middle of the night, they think something happened.
Really?
They think they used to, for years, just wait.
It's a trauma. It's a deep
trauma. And it's
trauma.
so deep. And now, anytime, there was one time a year or so ago where I fainted at dinner with them, okay?
Yeah.
My blood pressure dropped real low. I fainted, my lips were purple. I was laying on the floor of a restaurant down the Strip District.
Jeez.
And my parents, me having, at that point, 6 years in recovery, the first thing they thought was I overdosed and I was dead. It was the first thing they thought, knowing how good I'm doing now, knowing I haven't used heroin.
But would you want it? But the default to that maybe protects you too, in some sense. Because if they did it the other way, this will never happen again, and God forbid something did, because we're all human, we all make mistakes, we all fall down bad paths. I pray that never happens to anybody, but it never leaves. Right?
Yeah.
And for them to care that much, love you that much, I think that's remarkable, and there's a good and bad to it. Because, for you want the confidence and the love that they, she's good, no problem. She's probably blood pressure just dropped, right?
Yeah, right.
But why wouldn't they think that?
Right.
But I do love that they stayed by your side. That's amazing.
Yeah, and we have a better relationship now than we did even before I was getting high.
Because you went through it.
We went through it together. We have literally been through hell and back. Again, when I was in Renewal Center, which is kind of like a halfway house post-incarceration program that's next to the jail, they actually mandated family therapy, and so my siblings and my parents would come into Renewal Center and do family therapy with me, where we just talk it out. If we wouldn't have done that, and we still had all those lingering resentments today, I don't know that I'm sure I wouldn't be where I am without their support. I mean, now I lived with them until a few years ago. They've always had my back, and I'm very thankful that even my siblings. I mean, remember,
how many siblings, by the way?
I have a younger sister and a younger brother.
Okay.
My sister's 2 years younger than me. My brother's 1 more year younger. And remember, I put them through hell too. So we talk a lot about like parents, especially like in addiction and in situations like this.
Well, the focus shifts right to you.
Exactly.
Right?
And with my siblings, it was more like they were really embarrassed, right? They would always, they were in high school when I was getting high. And they would always hear stories about me being wild and doing something, that I shouldn't have been doing. And people would always go to them, like making fun of me to them, almost taking it out on them. Wow. And they went through a lot of stuff that I didn't even realize until years later. And so it had to involve them too.
Shame on those people, by the way.
Yeah, of course. But, a lot of people are not able to have empathy for others unless they have been through it themselves.
Yeah.
I live by a statement, guys.
Yeah.
People suck, including myself, and I'm going to love them anyways. Mm-hmm. That's one of the things I take pride in, because everybody's going to hurt you. The person you love the most is going to hurt you the most because you care the most about
Of course.
them. So you have to find that balance and understand, hey, I'm going to give that person grace until they show me otherwise, where I know I need to walk away and they need to see what's different when I'm not there. And your parents never got there, but everybody does get that, and they call that rock bottom. I think that can happen at any time, any place, to anybody, depending on the circumstance of life. But yeah, that's remarkable, and I love that you were out of the house.
Yeah, so are they. My mom more so than my dad. I think he misses me a little bit, but my mom is very, very glad that all
I'm
of
saying,
her
like,
kids are
during
out
all
of the house.
that, for the siblings,
Oh, yeah.
that probably helped out a lot.
And we're close enough in age that they very much knew what was going on. We had like similar friend groups even, and so it was really hard for them. And again, I had stolen from my brother. My sister, I was such an embarrassment to her. She was pretty shy and quiet and really well behaved.
So opposite of you.
The opposite of me still to this day. Very opposite of me, but she's brilliant. And she really was the one who took the initiative, kind of like she took on that role of the big sister. I'm the oldest. I was supposed to be the protector.
That's cool.
I was supposed to be the responsible one. And she stepped up. And I think there was some resentment there for that as well. But luckily, that's something that in my recovery even she has maintained. So she is still the protector of all of us, and we're grateful.
But what was it, though, that got you out of it?
Yeah, like what was the clip? I'm with him. What's
the
the
last
clip?
day I got high was August 26th of 2016. I've been in recovery almost 7.5 years
Is that
now.
1 time or 30 times?
30 times what?
You said you would get high 30 times in a day.
I did many bags that day. I was not planning to stop getting high that day. It was not my intention for that to be the last day that I got high. If it was up to me, I would have gotten high until I died. And
So was there an alien that dropped down, or was there a light you saw?
Yeah,
What
my
happened?
probation officer. So I was on probation, zero tolerance probation, they called it. I got drug tested every week.
So how many times have you been in prison at this point?
Jail.
Sorry, I don't know the difference.
It's a very big difference.
County jail.
Yeah, county jail versus state prison, federal prison. But I never went to state prison, federal prison. That's if you're doing like years, you'll go to there. So you can do a 1 to 2, 2 to 4, anything more than that. Month sentence or probation holds are usually done in county jails.
Okay.
And so that was the longest time I went to jail, August 26th. I was there for about 5.5 months. And it was on a probation violation. I failed a drug test, which means, straight to jail, do not pass go, do not collect $200. And you're sitting there without a date that you get out. It's not like, you failed a drug test, go to jail for 5.5 months.
So
it's
you
like,
got hit between the eyes.
Oh, yeah. And I was warned. I was definitely warned. Like, your judge is very tough. You're on zero tolerance probation, because by this point I have been arrested many times. I mean,
driving without a license for 14 years.
Driving without a license, lots of what they call prohibited acts, paraphernalia kind of things, needles, stamp bags, even like weed pipes.
Well, what were the repercussions of all these incidents?
I go to jail for a couple nights until my dad would bail me out, then I'd get probation.
And then quickly go right back into it.
Yeah, so my first charge was a possession charge. I got ARD, which is like, don't get in trouble for 10 years and it gets off your record. Obviously, I got in trouble within that 10 years. But I had numerous convictions, all like summaries and misdemeanors, until the charge that put me on probation in 2016 was I was charged with multiple felonies. I sold my prescription Suboxone to a police officer and took a plea deal to a possession charge and a driving without a license so that I wouldn't have felonies on my record. If I had felonies on my record. I couldn't serve in office today. I very likely
So
wouldn't
how'd you know to do that?
been able to be a lawyer that someone
Guidance?
paid a lot of money for.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, somebody, a friend of mine at the time paid a lot of money for me to have a really
Thank
good
you,
attorney.
friend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, friend.
Yeah, because that's something like you.
Changed my life.
I call it legalese.
I would have been in prison for years. I have friends in prison right now as we speak for years for way lesser offenses than what I did.
And that's why you're doing
I'm
what
also cute white girl from the suburbs. You know, family had a little bit of money. Friends had money to be able to help me. Like, I am the definition of what people call privilege. Like, the people who say that's not a real
Well,
thing. I have seen it.
yeah.
I've seen privilege.
Money-
I've seen myself in a courtroom with worse charges than a young black man from an inner city neighborhood. And I have seen how I am treated like totally different than this person, even though this is my 5th time in front of the judge.
You know what erases any color?
What?
Money and influence.
I would agree that it erases a lot of color with money and influence.
Yeah, and that's what I just say that because
yeah.
But
I get it.
get back to how you got out of it though. Like so. And
I
by the way,
went to jail.
when you were in prison, you couldn't do anything, right? Drug wise.
People are getting high in prison.
You still did it.
Especially in prison, but in jail too. I mean, we have
Not
guards
jail,
getting
sorry.
caught
Yeah.
almost, semi-regularly.
Well, easy
bringing
to
drugs
do.
into the
It is
jail.
criminal browning. It's criminal browning, and you can talk to this more. But like, what those like police officers get paid? The people that are guarding,
The corrections officers.
the corrections, they get paid nothing.
Yeah.
Treated like crap, forced double overtime,
Yeah.
And-
working 80 hours a week. I mean, I will say that because they work so much overtime, often they are the highest paid county employees year after year,
Right.
but they are being forced to work, no families. You
Once,
can't have a
once
life
again,
when
how
you're
many
having
hours?
that job.
80.
Oh, at least.
Yeah, it's it.
Yeah.
When
A
you, when you
week.
learn about that, it's like wow. And then they're still scrapping.
Yep.
You know.
So back to the
Yeah,
story
so
about how you-
August 26th, I failed a drug test. I had been cheating my drug test every single week
Wait,
for
how?
8 months. Fake, not fake pee, someone else's pee,
Wait,
a
wait,
child's
wait.
pee
So
that had no drugs in it.
I'm well aware of how drug tests go.
Oh, yeah.
And they watched me pee. It has to leave
Oh, they watched
my
me
body.
pee.
But how did you beat it?
Travel shampoo bottle.
How did you get the travel shampoo bottle in there?
How did I get it inside of me?
No, like how would that wouldn't even be possible?
Well,
Apparently it is.
Like how is that like that's crazy.
yeah, so I cheated my drug test. I brought pee. I made it look like it was me that was peeing into the cup while my probation officer was observing me. And I mean, I had a system, right? When you are getting high, you will do anything to keep getting high. You will do anything to stay out of jail. You will do anything to have money.
Plastic cup or actual glass?
Plastic
Travel shampoo
No,
bottle.
no, no. I'm saying what you peed in.
Yeah, plastic.
Plastic. That's the sad part about where we're at in our country. It's untampered proof for baseball, NCAA, and everything else, but not in the prisons.
Well, that's a
Make that
different
make
road.
sense.
We'll get down that
I know,
road.
but
I was gonna say, that's a little bit
no. But the whole Ryan Braun thing was
Yeah.
based off tampering with that. That's why I asked, because if it's plastic, the guard could do it. She could do it after the fact. They break. There's so many ways to beat the system with that plastic. So I think it's fun. That's why I asked. I didn't expect a shampoo bottle,
Yeah.
right? But like,
Ryan Braun, every game I've ever been to that he's playing in, he gets booed.
great player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great player, but
Made a
yeah.
huge
But
mistake.
there's a reason why he got booed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anyways, off topic.
so
I just was wondering.
Again, you're there. Whatever it was.
Took me,
Yeah.
failed a drug test. Wasn't like I could ask for a retest because I knew that the pee that I had in me
Okay. Yeah,
was
you-
going to fail
you
it.
definitely failed,
Right?
yeah.
And so somehow the pee that I brought that was supposed to be negative for drugs failed a drug test. I think maybe some of my own pee dripped in it. That's the only thing I can think of. Took me straight to jail, and I sat there. And it was the first time I was ever in there that I wasn't about to like get a bond to get bonded out. I wasn't about to like be told, oh, hey, sit here for a night or two, or oh,
Because
hey,
you knew
call
this
your
one was the real deal.
I knew what it meant when you violated probation. I
Uh-huh.
had known enough about probation and about the system, known enough people through it at this point. And a lot of people don't know. So
that's a
people
big
talk a lot
mistake.
about cash bail,
Okay.
right, as being like why everybody's in jail. That's not really the truth. The overwhelming majority of the people sitting in the Allegheny County Jail right now, first of all, 95% of them have not been convicted of a crime. They are sitting there awaiting being convicted of a crime. Overwhelmingly, they're sitting in there on probation detainers. It's not like they're charged with murder and that's why they're being detained because they're first seen as a danger to society. A lot of times, again, I'm on probation for stealing some food from Giant Eagle. I get caught again. Even though I would never go to jail for stealing food from Giant Eagle, now that I was on probation when I got caught again, I'm sitting in jail at the mercy of your probation officer, the mercy of your judge. That's what people are sitting in jail for. That's what our jails are overcrowded with. That's what we're spending $100 per person per day to incarcerate people for. Not dangerous people. So I went to jail knowing that that's what I was about to be. Somebody who was just going to sit, not waiting for a trial, because I didn't have new charges. I was just waiting for them to say, you suffered long enough, you learned your lesson, get out of jail. And
how quickly did you learn your lesson then? You're in there.
See, that's the thing. I don't really know. When was that
But
moment
you said
that I was
August
like...
16th, 2016, I think that's what you said. Like, why that date?
August 26th.
26th. Why that date? When did you get out?
That's the date I got taken to jail. I got high on August 26th, never got high again.
Where in the middle of that 5 months did you say, man, I got to clean it up?
I don't really know. I think it was a progression, right? It was, so for the first 2 months, I'm sick, right? I'm sick, ill. I mean, hives all over my body because it's just filthy.
You're detoxing.
I'm detoxing heavy from 10 years of using opioids every single day, right? It was something that I had never experienced. I mean, I had been to rehab before, maybe 30 days or something, and like mostly got high in rehab.
Why didn't you want to get?
Did you hear that, by the way?
Again, though. What?
Got high in rehab?
Oh, I got high in rehab.
Was it your choice to go?
No.
So
I never choose.
every psychologist, everybody I've ever talked to, if it's not their choice, it never works. Ever.
Yeah, and that's true.
I think that's amazing.
And I've noticed a lot when you see people who are in rehabs where you have like half the people want to be there and half the people are court ordered to be there. It's really detrimental to the people who are not court ordered to be there, who are really trying. Because I've been to rehab a bunch of times and I never wanted to be there. Ever. I didn't want to stop getting high. I did not care about my family. I did not care about my friends. I did not care about my health or my well-being or my freedom or my life. I didn't care about that. I cared about not being sick. I cared about getting high. It wasn't even like it was fun. Like at that point, you're not having fun getting high.
Isn't there a certain point, if I understand, and I know a lot about this because I've dealt with people.
Yeah.
I've had really people close to me. But like, isn't there a point where you're just blacked out? Almost in the sense of like, you are doing things almost subconsciously on a daily basis to do the same thing over and over and over. There's a term for it, but yeah, like you don't see anybody. It's because it's not that you didn't love your parents or your siblings. But
I love them more than anything.
Yeah, you don't see anything because that is your survival.
Yeah.
And you know no other way. But how do you get out of that? How did you get past that?
It was really a combination. So a lot of people will say that because the last day I got high was the last day I went to jail, that I stopped getting high because of jail, and then my recovery is attributed to going to jail because of the time of it. But I know many people that go to jail for years and years and years, and they get out and they start using again, and often they die because now their tolerance is lower than it was when they went.
But you could have used in jail if you wanted to.
But she did
used every single day. I didn't use in jail. I used in rehab, but I was offered many times drugs.
That's
in jail.
the thing.
But
so
how did you say no?
It's hard for me to understand what it was that this time, you know what I mean? Especially when you're going through the detox.
You know, it's like
you're blacked out everywhere. You're blacked out everywhere outside of prison. Now you're in prison. Was there had to be a moment deep in your soul that like said, I can't, this is it.
Can't do it anymore.
I can't.
I'm done.
There had to be, like,
I
when you're up at night
think
sweating,
that happened.
I don't know.
Yeah, when you're up at night sick. I mean, really, you're like, you're shitting on yourself.
But then
you're throwing up on yourself.
They bring you the goodies, and you say no.
Yeah.
I want to know how that happens. That's what I think, Greg, you're asking too.
I do not know. That's nobody's ever asked me that before. I don't know. I really don't know what it was that made me turn that down, because it was very early on. I mean, even in like intake, I was offered drugs. When they take you upstairs upon, now intake's the worst part of jail.
That makes it even crazier.
Right? Everyone's detoxing. I mean, not everyone. Most people are detoxing. You're literally wrapping your arms and legs in toilet paper to stay warm because there's no blankets. There's 20 of us in a little cell smaller than this area right here, and we're all going through it. Toilet in the middle of the room. Do
you think that helped? Seeing it all?
I'd seen that before though, and I got right out, and I went right back to it.
Yeah, but you knew you were getting out sooner though, Bethany.
I do think that the one difference about this time was that
you didn't see an end game.
I didn't know what it was. It could have been the next day. I didn't know that.
Well,
it could have been the next day. That often happens. It could have been 2 years.
Not this time. Violating the probation. You knew it wasn't going to be the next day.
People do that and people get out.
But you knew. You just said you knew you weren't going to get out in a couple days.
I knew that I was screwed. I knew that I had no idea when I was going to get out. That is, and that, again, was the first time that I ever didn't know.
Okay.
And I think the uncertainty of it all was kind of like, was kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
Right? And so, but like, despite all that, despite the trauma that comes along with that, I didn't want to get high. It was more the opposite to me. It was like, oh, this sucks. But again, I had been to jail before, and it did not have that same impact to me. I had been in jail with people who it didn't have that same impact. So it's hard for me to say, oh, jail is what helps. Because in my experience,
no,
that's
not
really
just
not what helps.
Not just jail.
The removal from my situation, which I had never done for that extended period of a time before. But the stuff that I saw in there, the experiences that I experienced, like, if anything, it was almost like I want to get high to not feel this, to not think about it.
That's what's so confusing.
But I think a lot of it is the support, right? I had people calling me every single day.
You still have people
like that I could call,
interested
putting
in
money
you.
on my books every single day. People who were interested in me. I had friends who would like come from out of town to visit me while I was in jail, who hadn't talked to me for years because I was stealing from them and I was lying to them and I was, breaking in their house. I had my sister who, again, I mean, hated me for a long time because of what I did to her. Coming to a jail, my prim proper sister, coming into jail, like being told she couldn't wear what she was wearing because she didn't know she wasn't allowed to show her shoulders and didn't know she wasn't allowed to wear like a solid red because that's what color the incarcerated people wear. Like having to go through that for me.
That's the answer.
I think that's the big thing, and that's the reason, when we talk about recovery and like addiction and stuff, I don't work a 12-step program, right?
Yeah.
I don't hide that I don't work a 12-step Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous program. I tried it, been to hundreds and hundreds of meetings. It's just not for me. But a lot of people, it works for them.
It's order.
It works for them because it's that order, because it's that support network that a lot of people do not have naturally. I had that. Point. My mentor, who now serves on county council with me, which is so ironic, but my mentor, I met him when I was on house arrest, bartending at a local bar restaurant.
Jeez.
And
so an addict on house arrest bartending.
Addict on house arrest bartending, strung out, actively using heroin every day, using heroin like in the bathroom at my job. And he and his buddies were just like cheap and would come in for $2 Tuesdays, right? And he would talk to me like a human being, and that was all he did, was talk to me like a human being. Meanwhile, I have sores all over my face. I'm 110 pounds soaking wet. I mean, I do not look like I am well. I have a very visible ankle bracelet on, and he treated me really well. So that guy who didn't really know or at least verbalize what I was going through at the time, when I was in jail, he would write me letters every other day about just gossip, like what's going on in the community, so that it was like not even having much to say, just like showing me that like I care about you and I'm thinking about you and like I want you to feel that somebody's there for you, and having that kind of stuff.
And all these people, including your sister and others and friends, you have to be thinking to yourself, you know what? It's time not to let them down anymore. They're showing me support.
I think that's a major part of it.
But the fact that they kept seeing her as Bethany.
Yeah.
Not Beth, because you were probably Beth to them a lot in those moments.
Yeah, blackout Beth especially
but like, think about
for a
that,
long time.
Brownie, like we talk about that all the time, and politicals, thoughts aside, whatever you believe, if you look at somebody and you see them as a human being and you allow them to speak, you let them work through whatever they're going through, it always means something.
Always.
And I think that's what, if you didn't have an answer, you just answered the question that we've been asking, is it was the support. It was the love that you did not deserve.
I did not. That
you got, that opened up your eyes and maybe distracted you, maybe put you in a path that you saw a little piece of light that you kept walking towards. Because, I always say the greatest light comes from the darkest moments in your life.
And I was a
That's
dark
Brene
place,
Brown. Yeah, and you're a dark place. But where are you going to see light? You're in prison. Everybody's dark. But these people keep bringing in, it's like light. That's what I always say.
That I didn't deserve. I think that's very important because I know
Samaritan.
I didn't deserve that.
The story in the Bible, which I love, the preacher walks by, all the people that should have stopped to help someone walk by, but the Good Samaritan stops. And that's the representation that we should have on a daily basis.
I agree.
Is love the person, love the neighbor. Doesn't matter if you believe in it, whatever. You do the best you can. If they really harm you, you try to forgive and move forward in your own way. But the fact you had that many people, you had a village.
I had a village that so many people don't have. And that's why I try to be that village for the people that I work with today, because I realize that that's what's missing. Like, I can't fathom today. Like, if something bad happened to me today, I have a million places that I could go, a million people who would help me.
And so many people don't.
And so many people don't have a single person they can call, a single place that they can go. It's devastating to me, and it's because we as this society are so, we're fighting over things that don't matter instead of realizing how much more, we all have in common, and if we support each other, how much better we all are. right? Like I have a lot of folks. I work, not just with people in the jail, but also with folks who are unhoused on the streets, who are living in shelters, and they always tell me how it's not even just that we give them food, we give them supplies, we give them coats, we give them cigarettes. It's not even that. It's the fact that we talk to them. Like I will sit.
I think you could take all the other things away by supporting them, mentoring them,
look them in the eyes and talk to them.
You don't even need the other stuff. The other stuff
you do need the other stuff.
Well,
though.
I'm saying
it's what
in a
helps
sense,
them get out of it.
I'm saying maybe that's where you find the bond, maybe whatever. But like the fact that you're not asking for anything back, and you kind of help them find their responsibility, help them find their ownership, help them find their identity. I think that's remarkable. I have a huge passion with all this stuff because it's not just in drugs. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Social media. It's pornography. People have addictions to everything. Those things get overlooked all the time.
All the time, yeah.
And I've seen so many kids. I worked with a kid that was cutting himself, had no clue because of what was going on in his household.
Yeah.
And he had no idea. And it's sad. I mean, it really is because it's that same blackout.
And so many people do not feel comfortable talking about those things because it's so stigmatized. I mean, I remember all the times I went to rehab, all the time I went to jail, my mom especially.
It's stigmatized and politicized.
And politicized, absolutely. All the times I went to jail, right? This was like early, like let's say 2006, 7 to like maybe 2012, 13, all right? And my mom, who was so close with her siblings, would tell my aunts that I was like at sleepaway camp or, that I was like away, like on vacation of some sort. And would never say I was in jail, would never say I was in rehab.
Yeah.
Because they were embarrassed
Sure.
and it's so stigmatized. I have friends who have died, right? That's the hardest part about being in recovery is what it means.
But that didn't change you.
It changed me.
But I'm saying that didn't make you clean.
No.
Think about that though. Like
it was kind of like while I was using, it was a lot of like, this is what happens.
This
is what we kind of knew happened when we were
You knew that was the
using,
end
right?
road?
Oh, always. I always knew that was the end road. You just never think it's going to happen. It's just kind of like if it does, right? But then since I've been in recovery, I think I actually have lost more friends since I've been in recovery than when I was using.
I bet it's because you notice.
And it's especially because I notice. And that's really hard because I feel like I got out and I left them behind. I didn't kind of drag them along with me and let them experience this. I have some friends who also got out and are able to experience all the awesome things. One of my best friends just had a kid, last week. That's wild. I have friends buying houses and getting jobs and getting married and doing all these things, getting this big promotion at work, finishing school, things that none of us ever thought that we would be able to do. And I think about the people who aren't here anymore, who never get to do that, who never, how many people I know who I've revived them personally of an overdose and now they're having their third kid. Or I've seen them begging for drugs on the side of the road and then now they just finished law school. And it's to see things like that and to think of the people who don't get to do that, that is so hard. That is the hardest, heaviest part about my whole experience. It's not how mean people are to me, in politics. It's not even all the I wasted 10 years of my life getting high. Where could I be now if I had 10 more years towards what I'm doing now? But it's I would have really loved to see what they could do, and what their milestones were that we'd be celebrating together, what their experiences were that I can't even imagine. Instead, I'm looking at pictures of them, on Photo Bucket from the early 2000s because they haven't been around since then.
And Brad,
that's been hard.
The baseball assistants team?
No, what's that?
Bat.
Yeah.
In spring training, they come in, and why it's so important for you to get that story out there. Every year, in Major League Clubhouse, they bring in baseball assistant team, and they bring someone that they have impacted through what we give and the power. And when they brought in a family of someone that ended up passing away and they took care of this family, and where that money's going, what's happening, it changes everything. So their story, you bringing them to life, but being able to tell people there is hope. Yeah. There's a chance. And that's the problem, I think, in our society is we focus so much on the bad. We don't focus on where it could go. This
potential.
could resurrect you to a place you don't understand because, look, I did it. They did it. There's hope here. Watch, learn, and grow for me. And people like you mentor those people. So, that's the coolest part is, don't ever shy away from it. I love that you're not because I've seen so many bad things with people and
Shy
the
and
vulnerability.
Bethany, that does not.
Yeah, I was gonna say, one thing I'm
but
not
the
is
vulnerability.
I don't think I do so. Yeah.
But like the vulnerability, we talked about that.
Yeah.
It's so important and transparent.
But one thing that unites us all is sports.
Yes.
Oh, we love sports.
And so one of the reasons we wanted to talk to Bethany is her story is incredible. But the fact, of course, you're a Yinzer, but you're a huge sports fan. Do you remember?
Especially the Pirates, my number one.
Of course, and that's why. That's definitely why you're
The
here.
first time I met Gregbrown, I was like drooling, and I was so nervous.
And you can understand that, right,
Well,
Mike?
And I walk in and
Absolutely.
Fort's just
Hey,
sitting here
notice,
like he's just
it
some
was you.
dude, and I watched you on the TV in MPNC Park growing up. I mean,
He's the voice of the Pirates.
And he's the fourth.
But look at that's what I said in between you two.
He's kind of become one of he calls a legend in this town, a Yoda of sorts, and he's become one of my Yodas. And that's what's so cool. So when you say that,
nice.
even as a player, he stood out.
Yeah.
Rock stood out. Walk stood out. And that wasn't normal everywhere else. I played for a lot of teams. So it's funny you say that because he is a legend to me.
Well,
I
that's nice
always
to
call
say.
you the legend.
Very nice. But what is your first memory of the Pirates? Anything come to mind? Your first game?
My first game was in Three Rivers Stadium. The Pirates played the A's. It was probably 1997.
The year of the
My
freak
dad
show.
took me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and
Your dad
so,
took you
When
to
did
the first
Interleague
game.
come in? 96? It was right around then.
Boy, it might have been 96.
95 or 96, I'm pretty
Maybe.
sure.
Maybe
yeah,
95.
I was probably
95.
8, 9 years old, and I had never been to a sporting event like that
Really?
before. Yeah, it was not just my first Pirates game; it was
No,
my
first
ever
professional
sporting.
sport.
Yeah,
Wow.
so nobody in my family
Never
was really
forget
big
that.
into sports, you know.
Yeah.
And so, like, my dad played sports growing up, was a really good athlete, but
Was he
it's
from
not-
around here, by the way?
Yeah,
Okay.
my parents are both from the north side,
Okay.
which is where I live now, and. Yeah, and so it was just me and my dad. I had 2 younger siblings. by
Daddy's
then,
girl,
but I'm
baseball.
daddy's girl. Yeah,
I get
I'm
it.
like the firstborn. We are very, very close. I am unfortunately a lot like my dad and a
Yeah.
lot like his mom. And I just remember I'd never been around even that many people before, and it just changed my whole perspective on everything. And from then I was hooked. And it was always the Pirates first. And when I was young, you could go to Pirate games for like free.
Oh, yeah.
That was like, even truly when I was young, when I was in like undergrad or in even high school, you can even go to Steelers games for almost free.
Yeah.
Back before the Steelers started winning
Yeah, yeah.
Super Bowls.
Oh,
They kind of suck. But the Pirates have kind of always sucked most of my life, and so.
But you fell in love with them.
I couldn't help it. It was like rooting
has
for
that
the
effect.
underdog and a team that was like I saw as like my city, my team, and I love baseball. And I grew up watching the game on TV and listening to it on the radio. And so like over the years, I have like tried to kind of figure out my mix of that. But that was like how I was first introduced to it.
See, I love that, Bethany, because I've said this for a long time. Fort, you agree with this? I don't understand. I can't comprehend someone giving up on his or her team based on the win-loss record.
Yes.
Oh, never.
You love the team regardless. So I hear people say stuff about the Pirates and go, well, that makes no sense.
Well, most of my conscious life, the Pirates have been a losing team.
Yeah,
Most of his career.
I was going to say, most of your career, too. But I always say this, so, like, I don't know, and especially when you live in a city like Pittsburgh, where the Penguins, again, if you're my age, which you're around the same age as me, but when you're my age, you're mostly conscious, like, I don't want to say adult life, but like teenager and up life has been, the Pens have been winning Stanley Cups, the Steelers have been winning Super Bowls, and I've never seen a Pirates pen.
I have a hat. I almost wore it today. It says City of Champions.
Except
And
the
I
Pirates.
think, but no, I think that's the.
Well, in 1979,
that's the
they
standard.
voted
10 years before I was born.
the city of champions. Right, I understand that. But the Pirates and the Steelers won the championship.
But that never changed. We're still the Still City. That's what I
But
love
again,
about the city.
I don't believe that you support the team based. You shouldn't. That's just my opinion.
2013
based on wins and losses.
Was that the
completely
Cueto
agree.
game? 2013,
Yes.
2013 was the Cueto
the
game.
first year that in my memory that I remember a good Pirates team.
Yeah.
That
We
was
were
the
good in
first-
12. We just fell off. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm not saying. I'm just saying like a team.
No, I get it, I get it.
Yeah, yes.
Worth.
I get it.
Anyways, I liked when you played, but
Thank you.
Well, he helped lead the way.
that's
he
what I
did.
mean. No, that's what really matters.
I don't know about that, but I was
That's
there.
what really
To the
matters.
promised land.
But that's the first year, like the first season that I remember being like thinking this could be our year. Right? I remember that was the first time that I really was like, oh, this is different this year, and it was a different experience, right? And then when it happened, what was that, 2014? And we get to the wild card again?
2013, 2014, 2015.
Yeah, and so
All
when
wild
it
cards.
happened, and remember, I missed a lot of Pirates baseball due to heroin, right?
Yeah,
so I always have to like give
that's
that
X those years out.
Yeah, but that was kind of my peak years too, and it was like having something to look forward to that I had loved since I was a kid was kind of that one thing that really tied it in for me. Was I still have this? I still have the Pirates. I still. Jason Kendall was always my number.
I was just going to ask you that. Was he your
that's
favorite?
my guy.
He's somebody I can't wait to meet. I've never met him.
I've never met him either.
Yeah.
No kidding?
I
We're going to
know.
have that.
He was the one pirate I
Kid
knew as a kid too.
Man.
That was my number one. But I was also a big Ichiro Suzuki fan, which is weird.
Yeah.
And I think it was because on my video game, that was who I always was. I was
cool.
always the Mariners, and he played for the Mariners.
Yeah.
And that was like another one of my big players growing up, even though non-Pirates.
That's all right.
Yeah.
He's a great player. Fun to. Is there a moment that stands out at a game? Something that happened? You just remember?
Oh, we talked about it before we went on air.
Well, let's do it on
I
the air.
remember, more than anything in the whole entire, my history of remembering Pirates baseball, I remember Jung Ho-gung when he was wheeled out in his wheelchair for the blackout game. Was it wild card game?
That was 14, right?
14.
Yeah.
And he gets wheeled out in his wheelchair, and the whole stadium's wearing the
tear-jerking
blackout
moment.
shirts.
Yep.
And his whole team's, with him, and people are going wild.
Yep.
And that is definitely my most memorable
That is cool.
moment of the
You know
Pirates.
what's wild? My most memorable moment's not my.
It's not yours.
Not my home run. When I got to walk out, and the same thing happened in 13. Tears are going down my eyes because I just started walking that day.
Was 12 when you got hurt?
13.
You got hurt
And you
in
came
13?
back in 13 too?
Oh, so he gets
Yeah.
hurt late.
I get hurt late in the season. Ending.
He tore his.
Yeah, I
just
tore
like
my
you.
meniscus.
tore it, uh-huh.
And when I went out, I just started walking that week. They were scared I was going to run with adrenaline. I walked out, so it was really slow. And I dapped everybody all the way down the line, and they kept going and kept going. And tears were running down my eyes like crazy. And it wasn't, I was already in love with the city, but that was the moment. It was like, this is home.
Yeah.
Like, this is another home. And Clemente says something I think is great. This is my other home.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt. And all of a sudden I'm living here. So similar moment, because what that
greatest
meant
city
to,
in the world.
I don't know what it meant to Jung Ho, but for me, all the stuff I was doing that nobody will ever know about, they will never see, will never talk about it behind the scenes, it came to light there so much for me. And I was like, I felt more than I'd ever felt.
Yeah.
Of I want to be better. I want to stay in this. And then when the call came, it's one of the reasons I came back.
It's so cool because Pittsburgh,
awesome.
I think at times gets a bad rap. Pittsburgh, I keep saying this, Bethany and Michael, Pittsburgh is as good a baseball town as any in the country.
It should be so appealing.
And Pittsburgh's a winner's town.
Sure.
Just like I spent 5 years in Buffalo. I did Buffalo Bills football games. I promise you, they are as passionate about their Buffalo Bills as they are about the Steelers. But when they win, the same thing when the Steelers win the Penguins. I'm old enough to remember before Lemieux, before Lemieux came, I could go to a Penguin game at the old Mellon Arena, sit at center ice with 2 empty seats on either side, one for my winter coat, one for the beer in my hand. And I had it all to myself, right center ice. There was nobody there. Nobody played hockey around here. Then Lemieux arrives, and it changes everything. They start winning behind him and his story. And then he hands the baton off to Sidney Crosby. Right. And so winning cures all ills.
We don't have franchise players like that for the Pirates.
And I was about to say that.
No, that's Andrew McCutcheon's not a franchise player.
Andrew McCutcheon
He left
came
for
back.
5 years.
Yeah, he's a franchise player.
Oh, I don't know if I think that you can leave and be a
Well, he
franchise
didn't leave
player.
on his own accord.
I don't think that matters.
But I think that's what she's stating is
Wow.
We don't have
totally
a Mario
disagree.
Lemieux. We don't have a Sidney Crosby. You can't. I love Andrew McCutcheon. I would never say anything bad about him. I think it's awesome that he came back. But I don't think you can say it's the
Lemieux's
same
a
thing.
Derek Jeter.
Oh, I do.
It's not Ben Roethlisberger.
Ben Roethlisberger. They never left.
But not on. He
Neither
didn't leave on
Kutch.
his own accord. He was
It doesn't
traded.
matter.
Right. That's
And then when he had to.
But that's what she's saying. It's what if he never left? And I do believe that you bet on that guy, you bet on the human being. The trade, right, wrong, or indifferent, whether it's good baseball or move, is not the point. It's do we want this guy to have the face?
I
and I
do.
do
But
think
I do think
him
that
coming
about
back.
Andrew McCutcheon. I
I
think
see what
that he
you're
is a
saying.
great face of
Continuously, yeah, I see what you're
and you
saying.
can't blame him for leaving. You can't blame him for leaving because again,
Well, he didn't leave on his own.
But also,
Right.
He would have never
he's-
left. P.S.
Right.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
Yeah, but Bednar's the guy I say now is he's the next guy from here. The roots are deep.
I used to be so pissed at Neil Walker for that. I was like, how could you leave us?
Well, once
It's your
again-
hometown
once again,
team.
not
You're
on
playing
it-
necessarily
for.
want
I
to
know.
leave.
Yeah, not on his own
was
Well, I
accord.
think he was happy afterwards.
But
though.
that's the difference of football.
Well, no, I'd see that. I have a
And-
big disagreement with people on that too. By the way,
What?
the franchise. But that is so rare in sports now.
But it's
It is.
It is so rare.
I completely agree.
You're comparing to franchise players such as Marlon.
No. So,
Sidney
but I'm
Crosby.
saying, but he brought it up again.
Yeah.
I'm saying that it is rare. You're right about Crosby. You're
Yeah.
right about Lemieux
We don't
and
have that in the
Roethlisberger. But it's so rare in even those instances.
And we
it
had-
just doesn't. Jaromir Jagr left.
Yeah.
I asked people about the Steelers. They talk about they don't stay. They leave all the time. Who was the featured running back of the Steelers 3 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago? It always changed. Different
Yeah,
receivers,
sure.
always leaving. Linemen.
And you know what changes everything? Your favorite thing, winning.
Winning, of course.
And if
Winning
we were
cures all
winning-
ills.
Well, and investment in the team.
No. But if you're,
I
listen,
disagree. I think that we trade players for cash.
That's not true,
Instead
though.
of
That's
investing-
that's
That's
factually
factually
not
not
true.
true.
Actually, not true.
That is factually not true.
We trade players
That
for
is
cash,
factually
and
not
we do
true.
not invest in much in our team, and we don't make it a big
But just so you
market.
know, because you're a politician, you
Sure.
speak the truth.
Yes.
You're a big truth teller.
We don't trade players for cash.
Absolutely
Cash
not.
in a 2026 draft pick.
no, we can't do that in baseball.
No. There
International
is
pool
there is
money, maybe.
definitely a budget that is placed on the team, and every team in baseball has the ownership puts a budget on every
But
team.
not a cap like we
There's
have
no
in every
cap.
other sport.
Correct.
We need a floor.
So
And a floor. I agree with this.
There's no cap until there's a floor. Because if you
I
think
think
about
you should do them both together.
why would you penalize LA for making so much money and doing so many good things, hiring so many people, and that same thing with New York. If they can handle it, they can do it, they can spend it. Until you have the floor, it doesn't matter if you have
I
the
agree.
ceiling.
Do you agree?
about a floor?
Cap and
That's
floor.
where it
I'll tell you
starts.
what,
It
the
starts
only
with
way you're
floor.
going to have a
It's the only way we're
a floor,
competitive.
Exactly.
Yes.
you have to have them both together. The
I
only way
agree.
to
That's
ever
what we-
happen.
yeah, that's what we said. Do them
I
both
think
at
you
the same
could
time.
compromise, but it has to start from here first because they spend so much money here. If they're willing to spend $50 to $150 million in a share of revenue to this team until there's a floor there, why would they change and why would they change?
I agree. I don't disagree with that at all, but I'm asking, do you think that if we had both those things, that it would increase our chances of the Pirates
No.
being a competitive team? You don't.
It
No.
increases, Bethany, but it's not the cure-all. And you can cite examples.
Okay.
Before this
Not the
year, the
cure-all.
Detroit
Okay.
Lions, ask a Detroit Lions football fan
Yeah.
what good the cap has done.
Yeah.
I grew up a Chicago Bears fan. Ask me. The Bears stunk. I spent time with the Bills. The Bills, until recently, were terrible.
Yes.
The Cleveland Browns,
Yeah.
what good did that do them?
So-
you can cite examples of hockey teams. The
Sure.
Toronto Maple Leafs, what good has that cap done? I mean,
But again, where did the Lions make it to this season? Where have the Bills
It
been
did
the past
finally,
few
but-
seasons?
finally.
But that's what I mean. When is it happening for us? In my
But-
entire life,
I
we
understand.
have not made it to
you're right, but
the World
but
Series.
Detroit Lion fan has never seen a Super Bowl.
Sure.
Never.
Sure.
So you're right. But it goes back to the point. You don't just abandon your team.
Ever,
You
I
have
agree.
hope every year.
Yeah. Always.
You have to have hope in
You
2024.
prepare
love
They're getting
to
better.
win.
I love to also have the empty seats around me at PNC
yeah,
Park,
yeah,
like you
yeah,
like
yeah,
the Pacific
yeah,
Arena.
sometimes.
COVID was great for that. I love
Oh,
COVID
yeah, oh,
when they like
geez.
did the few.
Oh, my gosh.
Seats.
Look
I
at-
actually
yeah,
had
half
a
the ballpark
season
was
ticket
empty.
package during that season because I
Wow.
loved it so much. I was catching foul balls left and right because nobody was there. Oh, it's such a
That's
blast.
great.
We were wearing masks outside like idiots.
Well,
I mean,
PNC
it was
Park,
great.
PNC Park is beautiful anytime, even when it's empty. But it's most beautiful on a summer night when it's packed.
Amen.
There's nothing prettier.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
Or
spectacular.
Dollar Dog Night.
Well, that's
Yeah.
true.
And-
Well,
I will
and the
say,
fireworks.
I'm a big fan
sometimes
of
one of
that.
the same.
fireworks
Oh,
with
the
the
fireworks end up being
backdrops.
$75 for a ticket.
What's your favorite?
Then I pay $6.
By the way,
for
do you have a favorite spot at PNC Park or
Yeah,
everywhere?
131.
And tell me about that because I should know exactly what.
Oh,
what's
third
I-
baseline. I like
Okay.
third baseline, like not right behind the dugout, up a little
Okay.
bit. So it's where the price changes at 131.
Bottom level?
That's where the price
Concourse?
bottom level.
What about
yeah.
what about the second or third, whatever you say, the third level?
I've sat in the second level,
Above the
right
club
above
level.
home plate.
Yeah.
I've done that before.
Oh man,
I
think
can't
that-
see that well.
What about you, Brownie? Like, I mean,
like
you're
them
obviously
all.
in the
I mean,
booth,
I like them
but
all. The views I think are so cool. That's the other thing too about PNC Park.
Everywhere
the
you
view
sit.
always changes as the weather. The spring
The skyline
goes to
changes
summer,
even.
summer
Yeah.
to fall. The skyline as the sun sets at different angles, lower bowl,
I love
upper. I mean, it's.
I always wanted to get married in PNC Park.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was
Like
okay.
Kanye.
Well, we got-
Yeah. What?
Kanye.
Kanye got married in
He
PNC
got-
Park?
he-
Oh,
he got
I remember
engaged
that.
at,
to Kim, right?
No, at L.A. He rented out the stadium.
No, to Kim. Isn't that where he got engaged?
yeah,
to
yeah.
Kim?
He rented out the
Yes,
stadium, and
I
I don't even know if she
remember that.
liked baseball, but
Yeah, that was like my dream.
I was like, he just rented out the
He'd
stadium.
propose to at a Pirates game,
Oh,
get
that'd be
married
sweet.
on the field. I did once that they do that world. What do they call it? Beer fest that they do there? The World something. They do like a
wine-
beer
wine
fest.
thing or
Wine,
something.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
like a wine and beer fest. You never been to it?
Yeah.
I think they still do
just
it. I
stay-
don't think
Dude,
it's a
that's
yearly
during the
thing.
team's away or something.
I like coffee.
You know what I did this
Oh, you like
past
this
year?
coffee? Yeah, this
My
coffee.
coffee's empty. Do you know
Oh,
what?
coffee, please.
Do you know what I did this year? I did the golfing at PNC Park.
Did you like
like
it?
that?
Oh
I
my
almost
gosh,
I
it
thought
was
wanted to
so
try that.
fun. So it wasn't possible. Even like good golfers could not get it in the hole.
Really?
It was very.
Why are you trying to
very-
get in the hole? I'm trying to hit it out of the stadium.
So was I. I can't hit that far. But
Oh.
but the goal is like that's how it tells you when you get to each station because they're all throughout the stadium. In all different places, like all different sections, and you're trying to hit. There's a bunch of different colored holes with like
On the field?
On the field,
Oh.
yeah. So
That's
there's flags
awesome.
and holes, and then there's like a kind of like kidney bean shape around them.
Oh.
And you get certain points if you get it in the kidney bean, and you get more points if you get in the hole. It was impossible.
Really?
It was so hard, and I'm like, I'm not a good golfer. I
Well, it's
just like
because
to
they're
jag
so
around.
high, right?
But there was also like there were ones where you weren't that high. There were one where you were in the lower level, like the first
Oh, okay.
floor. There were ones, then when you were up top, the view was beautiful.
Yeah, I bet.
Like hitting it from like the club section. Oh, it was so cool. But I had never done anything like that before. I really like that.
But you say you're not a good golfer, but you probably don't golf much.
Oh, politicians invite you to golf outings all
So
the time.
you do go a lot?
No, I don't go a lot, but I more than the regular person does. Not more than the average golfer, but more than your average person. I like to do scrambles where there's four of us,
Oh,
and
that's
you know
good.
you
Yeah,
just
yeah,
take the
that's good.
furthest
You could
ball that's hit.
contribute.
It's a party.
It's a
You're driving
team-
around a golf cart. You're drinking,
it's a team
smoking.
game.
Yeah,
It's a
it's a
You know,
team
I just
game.
learned the other day that you can play a one-person scramble. Jack
How?
Wilson told me that you hit two balls. You play your best ball.
Oh, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
but what if
I
both
never
your balls
thought about
suck?
that. I'm like, that's kind of brilliant.
But if you just suck, even your
Yeah, I just lose two
second
balls,
ball,
but-
yeah, exactly. That's what I mean.
yeah, so I play my third ball that I dropped right there.
I
yeah.
think golfing is so much fun. I think it is
expensive.
a fun day. It is expensive, but in scrambles, it's a fundraiser, right?
Yeah,
in like
absolutely.
political scrambles. So you're
Yeah.
donating. It's like $400 for a foursome. $100 to spend a whole day. They usually include food and drinks, and you're just having fun.
It's the fellowship that I always enjoy.
exactly.
Because I'm not good at golf.
And you only need one good golfer in your team for
That's
it to be
true.
a fun
That's
day.
true. That's right.
Everyone else can be jagging
I just
around.
don't want everybody to be serious. That's when it's
people
unfun.
know if I'm on their team, this is not going to be serious. Like, we're going to have fun.
The team
But I
matters.
do like to win, so I like to have a ringer
Oh,
on my
that's a good
team.
call.
Yeah.
I'm the same
I'm the
way.
same way when I
I'm
get
the
on
same
a
way. Yeah, I
celebrity.
know you
I
are too.
I tell people, you're 0 for 3.
Yeah.
I said, first of all, I stink at golf.
Yeah.
I'm not really a celebrity, and I got no jokes, nothing to tell, so
You
sorry.
invited me for
so
my
good
good
luck,
looks.
Boy, no fun for you. What is your, I think we talked about this off the air too, but what is your pet peeve about maybe sports or just in general about people? Do you have one pet peeve?
About people?
Oh, you got a lot of those.
I was
What's your
going to say,
top-
you got to say about
what's your
sports
top
or
pet
about the
peeve?
Pirates or about what?
No. Do you have a pet peeve about sport? Like you mentioned, you don't like apparently going when there's a big crowd because you want to have empty seats.
I want to spread out, and I want people to not be yelling annoying stuff that has nothing to do with the game or cheering at the wrong time. Like,
Okay, that's
you know,
good. That's
the
good.
players
Cheering at the wrong time is a
concentrating.
good one.
I remember once I went to go see the Stillers play in
Cheering at the
New
wrong
Orleans.
time. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, be quiet whenever somebody's trying to focus. Like it's like football. Whenever you're on offense, you want everybody to shut up.
It's like when the
opponents are
when the
screaming.
Pirates are on the field pitching. I don't like dun dun dun.
Right, be
dun,
quiet
dun.
so they can
Oh
communicate.
no, you can go looking for a strikeout and just the din of the stadium is cool.
Exactly. Cheer in their walk up, cheer after
Yeah,
they
yeah.
hit. I do not like that when I know that the players are trying to communicate on the field and are trying to concentrate. Again, when I went to New Orleans once, the Stillers played in, what do you call that dome? The Mercedes-Benz.
I don't know what it is now.
Yeah, the Superdome, right?
Oh,
they
New
played the
Orleans is
Saints in
Superdome.
New
It's still
Orleans
called that.
Superdome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And so every time the Stillers were on offense, the Saints fans would pound on the dome, and it was so loud you couldn't hear the person
You
sitting
could
next to you.
in domes. It's so
But-
loud.
So sports fans, when they do that to themselves, when they do that to their own team, like your own team is on offense, your
Yeah.
own team is pitching right now, like shut up.
Yeah, the
Shut
good
up.
news is PitchCom, especially the defensive side, has changed the whole.
So
game.
what's funny?
Oh,
you
I
said
really
that.
like it. I
You
really
said that
like
because
it.
our director of our TV games did some games. Tyler Graham, who directs hockey games, he suggested what he wants baseball fans to do at PNC Park when the opposing pitcher is trying to listen for the signs.
Yes.
The place should go crazy loud.
That's
So
what I mean.
can't hear
In PNC Park, they'd be doing it when we were pitching.
And then but the Pirates are pitching, it should be quiet so
I
you can
agree.
hear all this stuff.
But see, that's what a baseball fan knows to do already.
Right, true.
So when you see somebody there who's cheering at the opposite time, I'm annoyed.
That's okay. That's a pet peeve. That's
Yeah,
a good
that
pet
is a
peeve.
pet peeve.
To
I like
reiterate how powerful the fans are. One, Cueto. Two,
Yeah.
if you go back to Trey Turner last year. A guy started a movement on his podcast to stand up and support this guy. Stood up, he hit 360
he was terrible.
for 2.5 months, and they made a playoff run, and they got in the playoffs, almost made it to the World Series once again. The power of fans is a game changer, and that's why winning here, or even being prepared to win in the team, they believe so wholeheartedly in the team. And I think going into this year with some things that possibly could happen before spring training, there should be a lot of belief. And hopefully we see that.
It's actually, like, I experienced a lot. I'm a Pitt football season ticket holder, which, you know, if you go to Pitt football games,
I didn't know you were a fan.
Yeah. So just, you know, I always have Pittsburgh stuff on. That's just me, always. I can't help myself. But so the students leave, right? So they started incentivizing them to stay later in the game, but like people don't show up, or they sell you're a season ticket holder and you sell your tickets to opposing fans. That's another pet peeve.
Oh, that's a good
one. You don't even have to be a season ticket holder. Just like you buy tickets as a Pittsburgher and you sell them to away team fans. That is also a big pet peeve of mine, especially because, like, give them to a Pittsburgh fan who's going to go and cheer for them. So a Pitt, I hate when they leave early. I feel like if you're going to the game, commit. Somebody told me that some sport, and I think only Greg's old enough to remember this.
What?
Whoa. He's only 42.
That doesn't hurt. It's wisdom. I've earned it. I like it.
One of the
Take it on. I love it.
You could go in for free at a certain point in the game. Was it the Pirates or the Steelers?
I think back at Three River Stadium,
it was Three River Stadium.
7th inning, maybe back. Now I'm not that old. I'm not Forbes Field old. I'm Three River Stadium.
It was Three River Stadium.
But Three River Stadium, I think the 7th inning, you could just walk in.
Yeah, I love that. Bring that back, especially at PNC Park.
Yeah.
When, like, again, you go and it's empty. Yeah. You can't expect a team to be hyped up if you're not there to hype them up. I fully agree with Ian's about the responsibility of the fans. Like, we carry a lot of power, and again, you saw it with like the A's fans trying to keep their team in Oakland.
Yeah.
And like when you see people unite like that, I mean, they inevitably lost, but it's powerful and it gets attention. And you saw them like all like saying sell the team and showing up in their like green shirts all throughout all the games. You see that that's powerful. And you might not always get what you want, but it at least inspires the team that like you believe in them and you're there to support them. I can't blame players for not being hyped if there's no fans there hyping them up. You go into a stadium and it's like silent. It's like playing in COVID all over again before they let any fans in.
Now this is from Bethany Hallam, who said her favorite thing is when there are empty seats around.
Now she wants more fans.
Now she wants more fans. I don't know what you want.
Well, I don't need to
She's
win.
a politician. She's a politician.
Whoa. Those two things
Playing
are not
both
mutually
sides.
exclusive. Just because I like to have my space to spread out does not mean that that's what's in the best
She's going to
interest
keep
of my
working up
team.
the ladder. She'll be in a
I'm not gonna
suite.
limit
She'll be in a
looking out for her
suite soon.
constituents.
Yeah, no, I'm looking out for my team.
Okay.
I have talked about it over and over again. I would like take a second mortgage out on my house to go see the Pirates in the World Series. I would literally take out a second mortgage to go and see all the games of the World Series. Hopefully they make it to all 7, and then I get to see them win in the 7th game.
Nice.
Like that is something that I can't think of anything else that would bring me more joy in my life
and you
than
know
to
what?
be there to see that.
And I will promise you one thing, both of you.
Hardcore fans will experience it unlike anybody else because you've been
stuck
through
along for the ride.
Yes,
and
I agree.
thick and thin. No one will understand that feeling.
Yeah.
And I want to do something real quick.
Yeah.
I want you to make a promise when they do make the World Series that we create a revolution in the city that he calls the World Series games at
Oh yeah,
PNC.
you had me a revolution, man.
Deal? You deal? I'll need help. But that man is going to call the World Series at PNC
Who
Park.
else would do it?
Are you kidding me? Do you see what they do? They kick out.
Oh, you're talking about TV? Oh, yeah.
He's going to be on TV.
Oh, well, they used to do that years and years ago.
But I'm telling you right now, Brownie.
They had the local guys on
Vince
calling
Scully.
with the national guys.
I think about Brownie.
So the local announcer would spend a
They
couple
used to do
innings.
that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
You should. It's your team. You know.
Yeah.
it.
Exactly.
How do
But
they
at least
give the
we'll be on
color
radio.
commentary if they don't
We'll be
have
on
a team?
radio.
No, I'm telling you right now.
Anyway.
Revolution.
Yeah.
You're in?
I told you I prefer to listen to the games on the radio.
Okay,
That's
but
how
he can do one game on the radio, but I'm just saying the first World Series
If
game.
you're on the TV, I will watch it on the TV and listen.
First,
Thank you. That's
very
nice.
first.
Very nice of you.
Hey, listen.
Again, very politically correct.
Hey, I want this more than I want the pirate ship. Gregbrown, first World Series game at PNC Park. That man's
When's
face.
this gonna happen?
When it does.
I know, but
When we
Soon.
see it.
Very soon.
Very
When?
soon.
Very soon.
You can't say that. What indication do you have that that's going to happen?
I want
getting
Andrew
better.
McCutcheon.
They're getting better.
Andrew
They're making
McCutcheon wins a
strides.
World
Listen,
Series.
it's kind of how I
hey,
feel.
Andrew McCutcheon wins a World Series before he retires. That would be the coolest thing.
I mean, it would be the coolest thing. I feel the same way that I feel about like being a patriot. Is that like, what's the quote? Like, I have every right to criticize my government because I love it so much.
Absolutely.
That's how I feel about the pirates. So
Yep.
I don't want to say I'm never optimistic. It's not that I don't want this to
Understand.
happen. I'm just being very realistic that I feel like there have been so many times where I have really gotten my hopes up. And I have thought this was going to be our year. And every year it's more and more likely that I should bet on 100 losses. Every single year.
One of my favorite lines. Hope is a good thing, Red. Maybe the best of things.
Yeah.
That's from the Shawshank Redemption.
Can't you have hope and
That is so good. I love it. And
Be a
that's what being a fan is all about. That's
I
what
know.
sports are. Having hope is what it's all about.
Oh, I will never give up hope.
Okay. And here, let's toast our coffee. Will you come back again sometime?
Oh, I come back anytime.
Yeah.
Did you like the show?
I loved
Hold
it.
My Cutter?
Hold My Cutter. I love the name.
Yeah, I mean,
And the show.
And the show.
And
And the
the
coffee.
hosts.
And
stop
the
it.
guests.
And the
Stop
host.
it.
And
and what
part.
about the? I got to
Stop it,
see the
mean it.
lacrosse cutter. We talked about it last show. I want to see that lacrosse cutter with no drop net.
Wait, do I get to throw a cutter? It's like this, right?
Here, you show us.
Oh, that's right. Hold the cutter.
Yeah, show us what you got.
Okay. Wait. Like this?
You said
cutter
you were going to
close?
show us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the fork. Well, let's get.
Close?
Maybe the fork can show. Just to tighten up those.
I'm just going to go.
Tighten up these?
Yeah, tighten it up. Yep. And you want to release it out front, but I'm pretty
I'm not
sure.
throwing this baseball. Break your
No,
camera.
don't throw it. But Brownie,
This is
those
when you
things
drop the
got
first
to be
pitch.
illegal.
Oh, when I throw out the first
Hold up your
pitch.
hand for the
Oh,
camera.
yeah.
That's
acrylics?
illegal. Those
Yeah,
fingernails
well,
are illegal.
you know that they actually do that in baseball.
Yeah.
What, they cut your nails?
No, they have acrylics. So
No.
when they get blisters, a lot of times that nail will start to
Oh, so
fray
I feel the
away.
exact opposite. If I ever get to throw out the first pitch at PNC Park, I'm gonna cut my nails out.
They don't
because
have-
I don't have as good of a
Oh,
pitch
okay.
because of the way it rolls off, it hits my nails, and so I can't throw as accurately when I have
Okay, that's
acrylics
good
on. So
call.
I would cut them down a little.
But
Okay.
yeah,
So I can't imagine
they
you
only
have to
do
help.
it. They have no like life this way. But I'm telling you, I think Bob Walk, if he played now,
Oh,
he
yeah.
would maybe do that.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to ask him
Show me.
because he'd be
Yes.
like this.
Oh,
Cutter.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Cut that thing up and use
Oh,
the
yeah.
air.
That would do
Uh-huh.
some
I'm
cutting.
gonna ask him.
Yeah.
That. It's good stuff.
Anyway, thanks
Thanks for
again.
having me,
Yep.
guys.
Thank you.
Bethany
Cheers.
Hallam.
Let's go Buccos.
Let's go,
Let's
Bucks.
go, Bucks.
And join us for the next episode of Hold My Cutter.